Ken Bennett, Chair of AUDIT USA Board of Directors. Got our Executive Director, Johnbrakey, and our Attorney, Bill Risner. We just presented, or Bill did, in front of the Court of Appeals, Arizona Court of Appeals Division 2. Our response to Santa Cruz County suing AUDIT USA because we simply asked for public records. The initial inclination from a decision that the court sent out is that they agree with us. It's just a matter of how they deal with attorney's fees and whether the case was filed by Santa Cruz in bad faith. I think we presented, Bill, that that question could maybe go back to the Superior Court level for some decision on that. But I got a very positive vibe from the justices as to their concern about chilling citizens' ability to get public records by allowing government entities to sue them for even asking. And they told us initially that they were going to give us the records in about 2.5 weeks, and then apparently during that 2.5 weeks they started paying a private law firm to sue us instead of do what they said they were going to do. Any questions or anything you can add there?
No, it's really an outrageous case in the sense that the county is in agreement with someone and then sues and spends a lot of time with very skillful lawyers, tries to put together a possible plausible lawsuit but based on nonsense.
John, any comments?
I certainly do. You know, being a defendant, I don't particularly care for. It's been 3 tough years. Santa Cruz County is probably one of the most corrupt counties in this state. I'm from Santa Cruz County. My wife is from Santa Cruz County, and I have a lot of friends down there. And they asked me to come in and go ahead and help them with transparency. And you know what? We are going to help them, okay? Because of what we have found down there, okay? You know, it's interesting in this case, like Bill argued, that they promised, I filed a records request on July 28th. On the 11th, they wrote Bill Risner a letter, said we're going to give you these documents by the 18th. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from a journalist and says, hey, you've been sued. And I go, what? I says, I'm still waiting for the records. And they said, well, you've been sued. And then we had to look around to figure out where they were suing us. They didn't sue us in Santa Cruz County. They sued us in Pima County. Why did they sue us in Pima County? In my opinion, was because we had a lawsuit with them in 2014, and judges are elected by the people down there. They thought they might have a better chance coming to Pima County and sue up here because these judges are appointed and only retained. They thought they would have a better chance. Imagine being a Santa Cruz County judge and all of a sudden, yeah, I rule for the county. Yeah, they can sue people for asking for public records. How long do you think that judge is going to stay in office, huh? Another lawyer is going to come up, I'm running against you because, you know, in this country, it is your right to ask for public records. It's your right to question your government. And this is an issue that's going on nationally. And this sends a terrible message to the public that you need to be fearful of your government suing you for asking for questions. And they did more than that to me. They harassed me. They followed me to a meeting with my people I was working with down there, and then jumped me and physically tried to intimidate. I had cops surround me that night and threaten me with arrest for taking pictures in a public place. It's incredible what they were able to do.
So we're cautiously optimistic, I would say,
yes,
that given the tone of the letter that we already received for this decision and the kinds of questions that were asked today, and Bill's good job of presenting the case, that hopefully this can be decided. And as Bill suggested to the 3 justices at the appellate court, that we may have to go back to Superior Court for the calculation of the expenses and fees and things like that. But we're optimistic that we made progress today, and we hope to hear very soon from the Court of Appeals that they agree. Thank you.
Ken, was the benefit of some of their historic actions in the past, the reasons that election integrity went to Santa Cruz County and from complaints from people all in that county about strange things that were happening. They put a big table in front of the viewing window, and then they papered up the window and all these other things. You think any of that as a historical concept had any influence or could have had influence with
Well, I don't think
appeals court?
I don't think those specific facts were brought to the appellate justices. So I don't think that will affect their decision. I think their decision is rightfully narrowed on the fact of should a government entity be able to sue citizens for asking for public records. I think it's clear in Arizona state law that a government can say, we agree and we'll give them to you, or because of this specific reason, which is also identified. There are reasons in state statute where records should not be made public, but all they got to do is say no, and what were the reasons why they said no.
Yeah, all they had
and
to do.
Instead of doing that, they told us, yeah, we're going to give them to you. And then the day that they said we were going to get them, they filed this lawsuit. So I doubt that the particulars of what might have happened in Santa Cruz County over the past many years was part of their consideration today, but
Well, I do
who knows?
think this. Superior Court, when we were in there, the judge basically said to the county, what are you doing in my court? Why isn't this in Santa Cruz County? That's where it belongs. And also, what are you doing suing a requester? It's their right to ask. Your job is to give him the record or give him a statutory reason why you can't. And then it's in his court.
and that's the crux of this whole case. And so we're optimistic based on what we've heard in writing from them already, and the tenor of their questions today, that they will continue on that path, and maybe they'll remand it back to the Superior Court for the determination of the fees and that. So,
and that's the judge who said all that. So you know where he is, and then they challenged him, put him back.
You know, the request for production was just a perfunctory answer, and they had already determined that they were going to do their declaratory action.
well, they gave us a written letter saying we agree with you, and we're going to give these things to you on August the 18th, 3 years ago.
In that same letter, I want you to know, they entered into court another letter. And that letter said, we may be going to give it to you. And so they defrauded the court with that letter. They didn't turn in the original letter, we did, okay? They wrote another letter with the same date and tried to switch it out as a fraud, okay? And that is a very serious thing to do.
Misleading an officer of the court.
Well, of course, it was a lie. And on top of that, what are you doing hiring private attorneys? You know, it's a pretty expensive
We think it's been over $100,000 easily that Santa Cruz County has probably had to spend with private attorneys to drag this out for now more than 3 years. When initially they said they agreed and would give us the records, and then instead sued us on the very day they were supposed to give us the records. So we're optimistic, like I said, that this appellate court will make a decision favorable to Audit USA, because that decision is important. All we're looking for is transparency in elections.
That's right.
So that citizens can be confident that the elections were done correctly. And for the past several election cycles, everybody who's on the losing side, it's one color 1 year lost, and they're questioning the elections. 2 years ago, the different one lost, now they're questioning the elections. We've got an Audit USA's mission is to make sure that people can trust their elections. And you accomplish that by making elections transparent. And the way you make transparent elections is to provide the documents that the county used to calculate the results. So
our vision is so simple. We can take the CVR by using Microsoft Excel, okay, off the shelf, you know, independent system. We can go ahead and hook up the ballot images to that one row in the CVR that shows what it is, okay? And then we can do like 700,000 images in 4 minutes and hook them up. And then we can create, like for example, we got Dade County, they have 340 precincts. It takes me 40 minutes to create 340 separate CVRs. What do we want done with those CVRs? If you're a precinct committee man or a woman, we want it mailed to you, okay? And then the images are in the cloud.
You can
and then
sit-
you just
you-
push button and it download, and there it is, and you check it.
You
Yeah.
can sit down in a matter of minutes or hours or however long
Yeah.
you want to do. You can check 1 or 10 or 100 of the ballot images and the cast vote record where those votes were added up in your precinct. We've got to get it down so that a handful of people from any given precinct in any county in Arizona or nationwide for that matter can sit down and verify that the votes on these ballots are correctly reflected in the cast vote record and that the results the county gave us are accurate. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, and in Ken's plan, the fifth part of that whole plan.
Well, let's not get into
no,
that
it's just
right
that
now.
there's a ballot library. If you don't believe the images, you can pull a few and look at them.
Yeah.
Why not? We're fighting cynicism that's destroying our country. We don't believe, but I'm glad to be standing here with people like this over here from Payson, and they're Republicans, and we got Libertarians, and we got Democrats, because this is not about the right or left. It's about right and wrong, okay? And having elections that we can all believe in. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
to their